Hello, greetings from here and welcome to Visa Pathfinders. I'm excited to have with me today ATM, who goes by the name Australia Pathfinder on YouTube. So he's got a YouTube channel. He's a go-to person when it comes to anything Australia. Okay, so today a lot of people do not know that you can actually move as a trader or you have trade skills like you're an hairdresser, you're a plumber, you're a carpenter, a joiner, a plasterer, and we've received lots of inquiry about how can you move into the country and probably you'll be entering as a permanent resident. So we've got ATM here. He's going to talk to us about who is eligible and how to go about it, and of course how he as the Australia Pathfinder can be of help to you and I. All right, so ATM, we are happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me again, and I'm glad to be back. So probably we'll quickly jump right into it because we have limited time so that we can grab everything in a few minutes. Australia is a very beautiful country that needs all those trades workers or what we call artisans back home. So if you're a hairdresser, like Mr. Peter said, a tailor, a dressmaker, like we call it, dressmaker, tailor, you're a plasterer, and so on and so forth, metal fabricator. There's so many occupations on that list. You can easily get PR even faster than engineers and most of the other big occupations. Because here in Australia, um, people who are in those areas, they make more money than people who are like professional work in most, at least you get to a more senior level to even start making as much money as what those carpenters make here. So it's a lot of money. However, how do you get in? That is why we're here. So if you have a trade work back home, wherever you are, maybe in the UK or in Nigeria, and you want to move to Australia, the first step is for you to have a government recognized certificate. So it could be a diploma or HND or even bachelor's degree in some cases. But the most common one is usually like apprenticeship. So if you did apprenticeship, when people ask me what is the process here, it's when you go for apprenticeship here in Australia, you go to their companies who do apprenticeship. Like all organizations usually, like if you are a carpenter and you want people to train under you, you will register with an RTO. They will sign off on what you're going to teach these people. So we, of course, we don't have something similar back home, but if you have learned this trade from a very standard organization back home, if it's not, even if it's not standard, you can also work with your trade ministry. I think there is a ministry of trades where you get your trade test. So for people who are aware, you need a trade test certificate in most cases. If you don't have a diploma, you will need a trade test certificate. So let me start by saying you will need a few things: qualification document and employment document. So with TRA, which is Trades Recognition Australia, that is the body that assesses all trade occupations in Australia. What they need is that they need to see that you are qualified. That means you studied it or you learned it via trade or apprenticeship. Then you have employment documents. So they need a minimum of 3 years experience. I've done a video on my page before on this, and I've said it. They need a minimum of 3 years experience. The 3 years experience can include your training period as well. So it's not a problem. You can, as long as you can provide document to prove that. And over time, of course, they've seen so many people claim that, oh, I'm a welder, but they don't have documents. So now they're very strict with documentation. You must be able to provide documents that shows that you are a tradesperson. And I'll start with the employment document. Employment is split into two. So if you're self-employed or if you work for a company. If you work for a company, you will need your employment letter. Then you will need to fill an employer template. It's on TRA website. This is what you give to your employer that will sign off. They will put their details there and they will put what you do on a daily basis, like your job descriptions. You can't copy that from online. So it has to be something that it has to be a curated job description that shows what you do in your line of work. So if you say you are a hairdresser, you need to state what you do as a hairdresser. At least a minimum of 5 job descriptions and you need to write the items, what they call it, equipment and tools that you also use to work as a hairdresser, for example. So employer template, your employment letter, then you will need two payment evidence. And when you say payment evidence, they mean your bank statement showing your salary payment. That's for 3 years because it must be 3 years. Your tax statement for those 3 years or more. So you need a minimum of 3 years, so you can have more than 3 years experience. Your pay slips and your pension. So those are the four major ones. But out of those four, you must have two, and it must be complete. So nothing must be missing. So I think it must. So if it's bank statement, you have to print the bank statement for all those years. If it's payslip, everything. So it can't be missing. So when you have those four documents, you need at least two of them. And I always tell people, the more the merrier. So if you have all the four, present them. If you have just two, present the two, but you must have minimum of two. If you don't have minimum of two, don't bother paying for it because it will come back negative. They don't joke with those documentation. That is for someone who is working with someone. So if you are self-employed, of course, you will need your business to be registered. If it's not registered, but at least if you can get a document to prove that you registered, even if it's a state government registration or local government registration, it doesn't have to be CAC. As long as your business is registered, you need to be paying taxes to the government. You cannot escape that. Then you will need your invoice that you issue to customers or invoice you receive from your suppliers. Then your bank statement showing the transactions, and this is where most of the people that I've worked with don't really have the documentation. If you are doing cash transaction, it will not work. You can, of course, it's not like you cannot do cash transaction, but they need evidence. Of course, I would say they've been scammed too, because they realize that people lie a lot. So they want to be sure that you already have those things you claim you have. So if you have banks, if you have transactions, make sure all your transactions are going through your bank statement so that there is evidence of that, because the only thing they cannot dispute is evidence. So now we're clear with the employment document, both self-employed and if you are an employee, and you need a minimum of 3 years. I've said that. Now, for qualification, because you must have those two, employment and qualification. Now, on the qualification side, I've said it before, you need a diploma, HND, or OND, HND, or bachelor's degree in some cases. If you don't have that, you need to have a trade test or an apprentice. So if you are going the trade test route, so this is split into two. So if you went through like formal qualification, like you went to technical college or you went to a polytechnic, fantastic, you can do diploma. If you did not go through that route and you went through apprenticeship, then you will need your apprenticeship documents, like the certificate that they gave you when you finished. It must show the number of years that you learned the trade for and all the stuff. Then you need your apprenticeship agreement. They'll need to see what is in the agreement. Then the other one is the apprenticeship syllabus, like transcript. That is where the issue is, because most people don't go. Your company, wherever you learned it, get them to curate something. You can even use. So what I do is I have a list of the qualifications that they need for each occupation. I can share that with you. When you look at those lists, you can type in those occupations, those courses. So they'll say, for example, certificate 3 for plastering, if you're a plasterer. So certificate 3, if you put that certificate 3 plastering Australia, you put it on Google, you will see some of those courses. So you can use that to create because most of these things were taught to you while you're doing the apprenticeship, just that it's not documented. So you can use that to curate like your transcript and your syllabus, get it signed by your boss or the owner of the company where you did the training. Then additionally, you will now get trade test. If you have trade test, then that is the cherry on top. Trade test from the Federal Ministry of, I think it's Federal Ministry of Employment or Labor, can't remember. One is in Yaba. There is one in Yaba in Lagos. So when you get that trade test, it just makes sense. This is if you do not go through if you don't have diploma or HND. Now, of course, there are also levels to the occupations. So there are level 2 occupations and there are level 3 occupations with TRA. If you are doing level 3, a minimum of certificate 3 like trade test can work. But if you are doing level 2, you must have a diploma. Trade tests will not work for a level 2 occupation. I think I've covered most of the things that you need. So, but the most important thing is most people don't have this document. And I always tell people the earlier you start, there was someone that I was talking to in 2019, and I told the person, I said, now is the time to get this thing done. And the person did it in 20, he started doing the right thing in 2019. They already had more than 3 years experience, but there was nothing to prove it. And I was like, to them, you don't have experience because you cannot show them what you've done. You don't have qualification document, you don't have employment document, you can't even prove that I think the person is a welder. You cannot even prove to anybody that you're a welder, except for what they see maybe your shop, but it can be claimed by anyone can say they're the one doing it. So those are the key things that you need to be able to get. So if you have those, trust me, just reach out to me. We can work out how you can go about the assessment. And at the moment, most people are moving from the UK, US through this process, even from Nigeria and Indians. Yeah. And most people who are like engineers, they are now going through this people as well to get something. For example, if you're an electrical engineer, you can nominate an electrical engineering technician or an electrician. So because of that, now their timeline has increased. So it takes about 6 to 7 months for you to get your results. So you can imagine how competitive it is because they get nomination faster. There was a guy in one of our groups who did cabinet making. He shares the story all the time. He never liked it when he didn't get admission into Unilag. I think it was Unilag. He didn't get admission, and his friend was like, instead of sitting at home, go to College of Technology in Akoka and he learned cabinet making. He finished it, and now he got his nomination in less than 6 days after he got the assessment results. Whereas some people have waited for like months before or even a year plus to even get nomination. He got it in 6 days. So it's really, really fast if you have your documentation. So I think I will stop there.
So yeah, thank you so much for the information. This is well explanatory. We just have to talk about the cost implication very quickly. Yeah, what's the cost of doing the assessment and what's any other associated cost, please?
Okay, so the first cost will be for you to getting your documents. That cost is, I can't talk about that because some people already have it. If you don't have it, you need to find your way to get that. But the major cost is the assessment. Assessment is 795 Australian dollars as of today because things are changing every day. But as of today, it's 795 Australian dollars if you want to assess with TRA for migration skills assessment MSA because they have like different pathways. So they have for people who are going to South Africa, the price is different. You pay over $4,000 also in different periods. So 795, you get your result in 6-7 months as of now. Then when you of course, while you're waiting, start preparing for English test because English test is compulsory. You need English test, and the best part with this pathway is most people get nomination even with minimum of 6 in IELTS because that's the minimum you must have. You cannot have anything less than 6 in IELTS. Like individual band must not be less than 6, so 6 and above. And most of us, for me, even my occupation, you needed 20 points. Like you need to have a minimum of 8 in my own occupation. But with those trade occupations, with 6 you can get nominated. As long as you get up to 65 as the total cutoff. So English test costs, that is for you, whether you write PT or IELTS or OET or Cambridge, whichever one you want to write. Those 4 options. And IELTS, it can be academic, it can be general. Then visa fee is 4,640. So 4,640 Australian dollars. That is the visa cost. And if you're married, that's for single person. If you're married, your partner pays half. So it is 2,320. And if you have children or if you have a child, your child will pay half of what your partner pays, which is 1,160. But there are two ways to that as well. Of course, when you understand this thing, there are always other ways that you can get in if you don't have enough money. So in a case where you don't have enough money, there are two options. First of all, you can find the money. If you need to sell your house or sell anything, get the money and pay for everyone at once because it's cheaper. Then when you get the visa, only you, like the primary applicant, can just go in first, settle in, make money, then the rest of the family will join you. But because they already have their visa, it is easier for them to just join you. They just need to book flight and join you. That's option one. Option two is you only pay for your own visa. You don't have enough money, pay for your own visa as the primary applicant, submit your application. When your visa is approved and you move to Australia, the moment you start making money, apply for subsequent entrant for your children and your partner, then they can now join you in Australia. The only thing is that will take you a lot longer time. Even in most cases, you will pay more because it's going to be subsequent entrant. Your partner will not be paying half of your price because it's a new application, so they will be paying that 4,640 that you were avoiding. Then, but the kids will still pay the 1,000 plus. So when you get to that bridge, I always tell people you cross it. See, the only people I did not borrow money from was my enemy. I spoke to anybody. I got that money. Like I knew I was going to get the money, but the time when I got my invitation was not when I had money. And you have 60 days to apply for visa. I was like, I need to get this money. So you always find a way. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I think at this point we'll have to release you. Thanks so much for your time. And as you have heard today from ATM, he's also assisting people with their assessments in as much as possible. He's going to tell you whether this is good to go at all. Okay, so he's going to give us the links for you to do the assessment, have a check for yourself, and also if you need his help, the link to his YouTube and every other means of accessing him is going to be in the description box to this video. All right, so thank you for watching throughout, and we can only wish you all the best. Don't forget that Visa Pathfinders, it is our pleasure to be part of your success story. So ATM, what do you have to tell us today as you go?
I put up a video this this afternoon, and so the comment from people was like, "Australia awaits you, and Australia awaits your story." So I don't mind telling everyone it's one of the best decisions I've made in my life. And don't listen to all those people that tell you there is snake, there is whatever. I've been here for 4 years now, and the only times I've seen snakes, I've been in the zoos. See you in Australia soon. Iriel.